Have you ever wondered what it means to truly be at peace with yourself? Or how you can free your mind from the constant chatter and worries that seem to control your life? Michael A. Singer's book, The Untethered Soul, explores these profound questions and guides readers on a journey towards inner peace and spiritual awakening. Knowing yourself is more than just knowing your name or where you live. There's much more to you than you might think. To really understand yourself, you have to be willing to dig deeper into your inner being. You might be surprised to discover that there are still many mysteries about your life waiting to be uncovered. Freud, the famous psychologist, broke down the self into 3 parts: the ID, ego, and superego. The ID is our basic animal nature. The superego is like a judge influenced by society's rules. The ego is the part of us that faces the world, trying to balance the ID and the superego. Often things are more complicated than they seem. If you have the courage to look beyond the surface of yourself, you'll start asking questions that many people avoid. In this chapter, we're going to explore ourselves, but we'll do it differently. We won't rely on famous philosophers or psychologists. There will be no debates, religious views, or opinions from others. Instead, we'll turn to the best source of knowledge about you, yourself. Your thoughts and opinions aren't necessary here. What's important is your direct experience of being you. This audiobook isn't about what you know, but about your lived experience. You can't fail because you are always yourself, everywhere and all the time. You just need to sort through your sense of self, which can be confusing. This audiobook mirrors the way you see yourself from different perspectives. Even though it's an inner journey, it will focus on the everyday details of your life. All you need is the willingness to look at yourself sincerely and naturally. As you listen to this audiobook, you'll realize you know more about yourself than you thought, even on complex topics. The truth is, you already know how to find yourself. You just got distracted. Once you refocus, you'll see that you have the power to free yourself. It's entirely up to you. By the end of your inner journey, you won't have any reason to be confused or blame others. You'll know what to do and have a deep respect for who you truly are. Chapter 1. Who are you? Ramana Maharshi, a great teacher in the yoga tradition, once said that to gain inner freedom, a person must sincerely and continuously ask, "Who am I?" When others ask you who you are and you don't think about it, you might realize you've never truly asked yourself this question and meant it. It's easy to notice that you are different from the things you always look at. You are the subject observing the objects. If you are the one watching something, then that something isn't you. You know right away that the world outside isn't you. You are someone on the inside looking out and watching the world. But who are you really? Where could you possibly be if you are not in the outside world along with everything else? If you pay attention, you'll know that you are still there, experiencing feelings and emotions, even if everything outside has disappeared. You are the one who experiences the inside feelings and the outside world at the same time. The objects from both worlds compete for your attention. Eventually, you'll understand that the stream of inner feelings and the outside world are continuously coming and going. However, you remain aware of everything that passes before you. You are the one who experiences it all. You know you still exist even without your thoughts. For instance, when you meditate deeply, your thoughts become silent. You are just conscious of the silence, with no thoughts bothering you. If you experience the quietness that occurs when your thoughts cease, then your existence does not depend on thinking. Thoughts can pause or become very loud. If you are aware that they exist, can't you find a way to eliminate them again? You are not your inner thoughts. You are just aware of them. When the question, "Who am I?" becomes deeply important, you begin to scrutinize it. You become free from the experiences and notice who's left. You're in there and you know it. You exist regardless of the thoughts. Consciousness is total awareness. There's nothing deeper or higher than it. If it didn't exist, there would be no you. Go deeper and dwell in the place of consciousness. It's where a genuine spiritual being exists without power or intent. When you sit back and look outside, you'll see every thought and emotion that passes before you. You are behind everything you see, just watching. This is like a lucid dream. In a lucid dream, you are aware that you are dreaming. You are sensible enough to realize what you are doing, like flying. This distinction is similar to the difference between being aware that you are conscious in your everyday life and not knowing that you are aware. You are no longer entirely absorbed in the circumstances surrounding you. When you are aware, you just continue to be aware on the inside, experiencing events, thoughts, and feelings. You are thinking the thought and you know it. You are lucid. Chapter 2. Consciousness gives you the ability to focus. Awareness is the core of consciousness, and it can direct itself towards specific objects. It's a natural and intuitive aspect. With your direct experience, you can learn more about your consciousness. For example, you realize that your consciousness can be aware of many objects, or it can focus on a single object, making you forget everything else. If you step back, you will see that objects are always passing before you on 3 different levels: physical, mental, and emotional. When you are not centered, your consciousness gets attracted to one or more of these objects and focuses on them. If it concentrates enough, your sense of awareness loses itself in the object. It's like when you are watching television. You get absorbed in the screens of mind, emotions, and outside images. All your senses are drawn in. If you wish to recenter, just start saying hello inside. Relax and be aware that you can hear it being echoed in your mind. Imagine going to a movie theater. You can see, hear, taste, smell, and touch what you're viewing. When you begin to feel the characters' emotions and think their thoughts, you now have a full dimension of the experience. However, when you become bored, you start thinking about other things. Your thoughts can still occur independently of the movie. They provide an alternate plane for the consciousness to focus on. When you are not aware that you're the one watching all this, you're lost. The lost soul is the consciousness that has been dropped into the place where one human's thoughts, emotions, and sensory perceptions are all synchronized. The consciousness makes the mistake of focusing on one spot too closely. When the consciousness gets sucked in, it no longer knows itself as itself. It knows itself as the objects it's experiencing. You see yourself as these objects. Your entire existing self-concept is gone and replaced by the character on screen. When the consciousness focuses on itself, you are contemplating the source of consciousness. This is true meditation. It is beyond the act of simple, one-pointed concentration. The focus of consciousness is turned back to the self. You achieve a completely different state. You're now aware of who you are. That is spirituality. Chapter 3. Awakening Consciousness. The voice inside your head. There's always some mental chatter going on inside our heads. It's like a never-ending conversation that just keeps running all day long. Have you ever wondered why your mind talks endlessly? Try stepping back and analyzing this voice. Get a little more familiar with it. Don't be too objective, just observe. Step away and watch how it talks. Notice that it takes on both sides of the conversation. You'll hear this internal dialogue even when you're driving or trying to get some sleep. The problem is that you tolerate it. That's why you become restless. If you take some time to observe this voice, you'll quickly notice that it never shuts up. It simply talks when left alone. It's like seeing someone walking and talking to themselves. You are the one who's both talking and listening at the same time. You even argue with this voice, and you have no idea who will win the argument. It doesn't stay silent, even when it's wrong. To free yourself from this mental chatter, picture it like a vocalizing mechanism. It makes you think there's someone else speaking to you. Don't identify with what it says. If you hear it, it's clearly not you. What's more important for true growth is understanding that you are not the mind's voice. You are just the one hearing it. You can undergo many changes in life to try and find yourself. But none of these voices or personality aspects is the real you. You will realize that most of the things the voice tells you are meaningless. Life will play out based on forces beyond your control. It doesn't matter what the mind tells you, life will continue to happen. Your thoughts can't influence anyone or anything but you. The real problem is the disruption that the mind creates about life. Why does it exist? There's an energy build-up inside your head that has to be unleashed. Like when you are nervous or angry, talking releases that energy. The inner world is the realm you can control. The outer world just continues to move on with its own laws. However, when the mental voice describes various external things to you, all your thoughts intermix and affect how you experience the world. What you are really experiencing is a personal representation of the world based on you. This psychological manipulation lets you guard reality in the world of thoughts. You can always do something to direct the experience. Once you surpass the part of you that's not okay, real personal growth begins. Being aware that you are observing the voice while it talks is like standing at the entrance of a wonderful inner journey. If used well, it can truly lead to a genuine spiritual awakening. Chapter 4. Your inner roommate. You can experience inner growth when you finally understand that you will only feel at peace and content when you no longer think about yourself. The I inside of you is always facing different problems. These problems just keep coming, one after the other. You are never going to have a problem-free life, especially if the inner part of you has to deal with a lot of problems. Instead of asking what to do about it, try finding which part of you is troubled. If you wish to obtain peace in the midst of all your problems, you must try to figure out why a certain situation is considered a problem to you. If you are angry, look inside and notice which part is troubled. If you can spot it, you're not it. It is always better to maintain unbiased recognition of the internal problem than to let yourself get lost in the outside situation. This is how you can distinguish a person who is spiritually minded from one who is worldly. A worldly person thinks that the outside world can solve his inner problems. If he can change things around him, then everything will be okay. However, to obtain real inner freedom, learn to observe your problems objectively rather than losing yourself in them. If you are angry, scared, or anxious, you won't be able to handle the situation well. You need to control your reaction first. Rearranging things outside of you is not a real means to solve your problems. The only way is to go deeper and free the part of you that appears to have plenty of problems with the real world. Your own being has a part that can separate itself from your personal melodrama. Simply be mindful of what you feel. You're the one inside who notices these things. You'll find that you are looking at someone's strong and weak aspects of personality. It's like having another person with you, like a roommate, except that it won't cooperate whenever you seek silence. It can easily mess everything up without giving you notice. As soon as you realize this, you can be on your way to an actual transformation. Once you've truly made an effort to practice being more aware and self-observant, you will find that you can only get rid of your mental voice once you've decided that you truly want to eliminate it. As soon as you make that decision to let yourself be free of it, you are all set for the techniques and teachings. In time, you will learn that you need to put a gap between you and your mind. You can accomplish this by setting your life paths when you are unclouded and not allowing yourself to be discouraged by the mind. Push your will to be more powerful than your habit of paying attention to that mental chatter. This is how you can reclaim your life. Chapter 5. Infinite Energy. Inner energy is one of life's great mysteries. We often overlook the energy within us. We think, feel, and act, but we don't understand what makes all these things possible. The truth is, every movement of your body, every emotion you feel, and every thought that crosses your mind uses energy. It's not just the physical actions in the world that require energy, but everything that happens inside you as well. For example, if you are thinking about something and another thought interrupts, you have to fight off that new thought, which takes energy. If you are feeling an emotion you don't like, you push it away so it doesn't disturb you. These actions use energy. Creating thoughts, recalling memories, controlling emotions, producing feelings, and motivating yourself all require a significant amount of energy. You can feel this inner energy when you're excited or in love, but sometimes you can also feel emotionally and mentally drained. The source of this energy comes from within. It's different from external energy sources. Your energy levels can change dramatically in an instant. One moment you might feel completely tired and drained, but when something excites you, you suddenly feel full of energy. This is because you have an incredible amount of inner energy. It's always available to you. It replenishes, recharges, and restores you. When you don't feel this energy, it's because you're blocking it by closing your heart and mind. You hide in a dark space. This is why you feel weak when you are sad or depressed. The heart, as a center of energy, can either open or close. When it's closed, energy can't flow in. You experience spiritual energy when there's love in your heart. This energy is your inheritance and it's limitless. It doesn't get tired or old. It simply needs your willingness and openness. Everyone has this energy equally. If you want to enjoy a full life and always experience high energy, enthusiasm, and love, the first thing you need to do is decide that you want to stay open. Closing your heart is a habit you can break and control. You tend to open or close based on your past experiences. If something good happens, you open up. If you experience something negative, you tend to close. This happens regularly throughout our daily lives. The more you stay open, the more energy can flow into you. Don't let anything in life become so important that you are willing to close your heart. If you close your heart, you'll only end up locking yourself inside. Don't limit yourself. Life is meant to be enjoyed, so let go and embrace it. Chapter 6. The Secrets of the Spiritual Heart. The heart is a masterpiece of creation. It is a wonderful instrument made of tremendously subtle energy. When you hear or feel instruments like a piano or flute, you feel it because it has touched your heart. Not everyone understands how the heart works. It experiences certain changes. When it's open, there's love. When it closes, the love ends. When it gets hurt, we feel empty. These shifts and variations of energy in the heart run your life. But you are not your heart. You are the experiencer of the heart. The heart is really easy to understand. It is a chakra or a center of energy that influences our day-to-day lives. It controls the flow of energy by opening and closing. If you watch it, you know what it feels like when it's open or closed. The state of your heart changes all the time. You can love someone, and a few days later you might no longer feel anything. As events happen, they come in through your physical senses and affect your inner state of being. These events can bring in fear, anxiety, or love. However, it is really energy that's coming inside you. When you absorb the world, energy patterns can create a disruption in your psyche. You get blocked when you don't let them pass through you. They are kept inside and become a problem. Perception allows you to experience what you take in. These experiences are how you learn and grow. Your mind and heart keep on expanding as you go through one moment to the next. It's hard to keep energy together in one place for long. This is where the mind starts to become active. When the energy can't pass through the mind, it tries to release through the heart, creating emotional activity. When you try to fight against that release, the energy gets stored deep within the heart. Everything in your life that you didn't allow to pass through you is still inside you. When very little energy comes into your mind and heart, everything can become dark and appear negative. Over time, your heart can get blocked, but it can also open and close often, depending on your life experiences. Most of what you take in passes through you. The only ones that get blocked are those that cause problems or some feeling of excitement. You might try to push energies away because they disturb you, or you try to keep energies because you like them. Either way, you are not allowing them to pass. You are wasting energy by blocking the flow through resisting or clinging. Just enjoy the gift of life. This way you will be pushed to the depth of your being. The energy flowing in your heart will raise and inspire you. Love will feed you and strengthen you. It's the strength that will carry you through life. Chapter 7. Transcending the tendency to close. Everything that's happening inside us has its foundation in a hidden energy field. These movements produce our emotional and mental patterns, including our automatic reactions, inner drives and urges. This internal force field is a hidden energy flowing in specific patterns into and out of your inner being. It's easy to see that the central energy flow is the survival instinct. There's always been the daily struggle to protect and defend oneself. But this instinct has evolved. Nowadays, we defend our self-concepts instead of our bodies. We struggle not with outside forces, but with our own internal fears and insecurities. Since you can't run away, you end up hiding inside and closing down. Even when you are not aware of your energy centers, you know how to close your heart. Even as a child, you protect the weak part of you, not because of physical dangers, but because of emotional problems. You'll soon realize that if you keep protecting yourself, you'll never be free. You're locking a scared person inside your heart. You will never grow. You allow yourself to live with very little joy, viewing life as a threat. True spiritual growth happens when every part of you is united. Pure energy flows inside of you, and your consciousness is aware of it. To achieve this state, every piece of yourself should be equally open to your awareness and released. Inner energies are strong and powerful. Your consciousness can easily concentrate on disruptions. They can pull your awareness into them, but you can stop and let go. You don't have to let yourself be dragged in there. This is why it's important to be centered. Otherwise, your consciousness will follow anything that grabs its attention. Objects come and go, while your consciousness simply watches. Your consciousness remains constant. It experiences the formation of thoughts and emotions, and it can clearly see where they are coming from without thinking about it. Your psyche is simply watching the internal energies change based on the outside and inside forces. A simple passing thought or emotion can eventually become the center of your life. If you don't let go, it can totally get out of control. Learn to relax and release. Be conscious enough to watch the part of you that's always trying to protect itself. Be determined to get rid of it. It will be the ultimate gift you can give to yourself. You'll be free to walk in this world without having any problems. You get to enjoy and live in the present moment. No one else can give or take your inner freedom from you. Accept yourself. Don't let yourself be bothered by little and meaningless things in life. Once you've learned to let go, you will obtain peace even when you go through pain. You don't need to constantly pull yourself down. Make a decision to free yourself. Chapter 8. Freeing yourself. Let go now or fall. Self-exploration comes with life progression. Life has its ups and downs that can produce personal growth or personal fears. Whichever dominates depends on how we perceive change, which is something that's inevitable. It can either be frightening or exciting. Still, we must accept the fact that it is the nature of life. What people don't realize is that fear is just another object that you can experience. You can choose to let go of it, or you can keep it and hide from it. Some people try to create a safe place for themselves, so they define how they need life to be, which really makes the world frightening. When you are afraid, life throws in circumstances that challenge your attempts to be safe. You struggle with life because you resist change. It's the fear inside us that tells us that we should determine how life should be. It prevents us from facing reality because it's beyond our control. Don't define the outside world based on your inner problems. It will surely be a terrible mess. Protecting yourself from problems will only generate more problems. Dialogues keep going inside your head because you're afraid to figure out how to stop or deal with the events that are happening. Choose not to go against life. You'll never get to fully live it if you keep on controlling it, because life is constantly changing. It's possible to live without fear. Life comes up with circumstances that push you out of your comfort zone, trying to remove what's blocking you inside. Fear is actually caused by the blockages in your energy flow. The energy can't feed your heart, and your heart becomes weak, making it prone to fear. If you want spiritual growth, You must understand that keeping things inside will only keep you trapped. After some time, you'll be wanting to free yourself. You'll realize that there are many things surrounding you that promote growth. You see it as a great opportunity to let go. When you suddenly get pulled down into the disturbed energy, everything looks dark and depressing because you are watching from the seat of disturbance. This should remind you to let go. Otherwise, you'll only try hard to fix things. You can't clearly see what's happening. You just want the agitation to stop. Hence, you turn to your survival instincts because you want to get away from the things you don't like. This leads you to fall into darkness and manifest it. You put negative energy into your environment, and it comes back to you. This is precisely how people destroy relationships as well as their lives. All you have to do is let go right from the start to avoid all this mess. Open up and release the blocked energy. Let it flow up until it fuses back into your own consciousness. This will strengthen you. Always look up and get up. It is the secret of ascension. It is the secret of rising from below. Chapter 9. Removing your inner thorn. This spiritual journey is an endless transformation. You can't stay the same if you want to grow. Always embrace change. The way we find solutions to our problems requires change. Once you accept your problems and see them as opportunities for growth, that's the beginning of real transformation. Imagine there's a thorn in your arm. When it is touched, you feel the pain. You only have two choices. You can either see to it that nothing touches the thorn, or you can remove it from your arm. Your choices will set the course of your entire life. If you choose the first option, you'll be working all your life to protect the thorn. Your whole life revolves around it, and you might even be proud of it. You may think you have come up with a solution to your problem, but you really didn't. You let this thorn run your life. It affects every decision you make every single day. When you protect yourself from your problems, it only reflects the problem itself. You didn't solve the main cause of it. You just dedicated your whole life to staying away from it. Notice that whenever you have a problem, instead of asking yourself how to get rid of it, you ask how you can protect yourself from feeling it. Even if you avoid situations that would make you feel or think about the problem, it will always keep on coming back. Your core problem will only expand into several problems. It affects everything around you, including your behavior. When it comes to the human heart, we have plenty of thorns. When something touches them, it causes pain inside. Just like a person living with a thorn stuck in their arm, you end up restricting yourself. You need to make a choice. You can always choose to take out your inner thorns. It's the only way you can be totally free of them. Most importantly, don't question your capacity to get rid of the main source of the distress inside you. In order to free yourself, you must find yourself. You are not the pain, and you're not the part which always stresses out. They have nothing to do with you. You are the one who notices these things. You let them come up, but you can also let them go. Your inner thorns are just blocked energies from the past which can be released. There's no reason to keep them. Energies have been inside you your entire life. If you become aware, you will notice that they are not you. You are simply experiencing and feeling them. If you remain centered, you'll learn to respect and appreciate your experiences, even when they seem to be difficult. When you are in the seat of consciousness, you'll experience your inner being, spirit, and strength, even when your heart feels weak. This is the core of the path to a spiritual life. Don't doubt your ability to remove the source of your inner distress. To free yourself, you need to find yourself. You are not the pain, and you are not the part that stresses out. These are not you. You are the one who notices these feelings. You let them come, but you can also let them go. Your inner thorns are just blocked energies from the past, and they can be released. There's no reason to hold on to them. These energies have been inside you your entire life, but if you become aware, you'll see they are not you. You are simply experiencing them. If you stay centered, you'll learn to appreciate your experiences, even the tough ones. When you sit in the seat of consciousness, you'll experience your inner being, spirit, and strength, even when your heart feels weak. This is the essence of a spiritual life. Embrace the journey and allow yourself to transform by letting go of your inner thorns. Chapter 10. Stealing freedom from your soul. To attain true freedom, you must decide not to suffer anymore. There is no need to carry the burden brought by pain, fear, or sorrow. People only suffer because they don't know what it's like not to suffer. What really goes on with the emotional and mental energies inside of you is that your inner vulnerability constantly brings you to situations where you are suffering. You are either striving to avoid suffering or trying to make it stop, or worrying about it in the days to come. When your suffering gets worse, that's when you notice it and admit that you have a problem. It creates an impact on your behavior, and your inner voice gets anxious. You always think about yourself because you're not okay inside. You are always trying to make yourself feel better. You go around trying to change things around you so you can please yourself. You must understand and accept that your psyche is not okay, but it can be all right. When fear is present, that's your psyche trying to talk to you. Your psyche becomes afraid when you mistreat it. You are providing it with certain responsibilities that are impossible to understand. For instance, you keep on thinking about trying to please everyone all the time. The mind has to make sure everything goes your way. You are giving it an impossible task. It's like forcing your body to lift huge trees. When you worry about yourself, you suffer. Your thoughts are directed towards what's troubling you at the moment. Your mind tells you that there's something outside that needs to change to solve your inner problems. However, it's not good advice because your mind is disturbed by fears. It can misguide you. Outside situations only try to solve the problem, not to cause inner problems. For instance, if you feel lonely, being in a relationship is your effort to solve your problem. You're trying to find out if that relationship will calm your internal disturbance. Still, it's not the solution to the source of your problem. To achieve success in terms of your psyche, you shouldn't think about it or dedicate your life to it. Imagine what it's like without those upsetting thoughts. You can truly live and experience life instead of trying to fix yourself. You can live a life without the fear of yourself. All you have to do is stop forcing the mind to fix your own problems. It cannot manipulate everything around you. If it's trying to talk to you, ignore it. Once you're okay with everything, then everything will be okay. Relax and be quiet. You are not the thinking mind. You are simply aware of it. You are the consciousness behind it that's aware of the thoughts. You watch the mind think. This way, you are actually liberating yourself. Chapter 11. Pain, the price of freedom. Change isn't always easy. It challenges what we know and questions our needs, often feeling like a heartbreaking experience. However, coming to peace with pain is necessary for personal transformation and spiritual growth. You must be able to face your inner disturbances. When you do, you'll realize that pain is seated in the core of your heart, which is why you spend your life trying to avoid it. Pain can influence everything you do. Unlike physical pain, inner pain always exists. It only hides underneath your thoughts and emotions. You can really feel it when your heart goes into confusion. If you truly want to grow, you must learn to deal with the pain. Any behavior pattern based on the prevention of pain turns into a doorway to pain itself. The feelings you experience will work their way back to the motive behind your actions. For instance, if you are scared of being rejected and you approach someone, when that person says something hurtful, you'll feel the pain of rejection. This pain comes from the heart. This is the reason why you feel a lot of agitation throughout the day. The pain that is not processed creates more layers of sensitivity every time you try to avoid it. For example, in order to keep your friendship with others, you feel that everything you do must be acceptable to them. You think about several ways to present yourself. You've gone through layers and layers. Further away from the core pain, you end up becoming so sensitive that everything you do affects your heart and causes pain. You need to get some perspective to distance yourself from this. Walk outside or stare at the night sky. There are billions of stars in the galaxy, and you are just standing on a ball of dirt spinning around one of those stars. From that point of view, would you really care what other people think of you? You can choose to leave the pain inside and keep struggling with the outside, or you can get rid of the inner pain. You can only be free if you don't let pain run your life. Think of the inner pain as a temporary shift in the flow of your energy. You don't have to be afraid of the experience. You can't spend your life avoiding things that are not even happening. Pain can just be a feeling. You can handle whatever happens. You are okay with it. It can't touch you unless you touch it. Don't let pain shape you, your thoughts, reactions, and preferences. You must learn to go beyond your habit of avoiding pain. Every day, many things happen that cause an inner disturbance. Stop fighting your feelings. Pain is simply an energy that you must allow to pass through. There is freedom and joy on the other side of pain. You must be willing to accept pain to pass through to the other side. Once you feel comfortable with it, there's no reason to be scared of yourself. There's nothing that the world can do to hurt you. You're free. Pain is the price of freedom. Chapter 12. Going Beyond, Taking Down the Walls. As you keep growing, you'll notice your inner self becoming much quieter. You'll realize that you've always been there, but you've been overwhelmed by a flood of thoughts and emotions. You'll start to see that it's possible to rise above these disruptions because you are separate from the things you observe. There's a way to free yourself from the hold your mind has over your awareness. Enlightenment is this inner breakthrough to complete freedom. However, the term is often misunderstood because it is based on our limited understanding and personal experiences. Imagine this story. You find yourself in a beautiful, open space with great light. You immediately decide you want to live there. You buy the land and start building your dream house. You even add separate quarters for your housekeeper to give you privacy. When it's finished, you love every part of it because you put your heart and soul into it. Over time, you spend more and more time indoors until you become accustomed to living safely within the confines of the house. Inside, everything is predictable, familiar, and within your control. Meanwhile, the outside world is uncertain, unknown, and out of your control. You get so used to never turning off the lights, but eventually they burn out, so you have to use a few candles. This is hard for you because you love light. Still, your fears about leaving the safety of your house are much stronger. The darkness eventually harms your physical and mental health. What was once a beautiful place starts to fade from your memory. Soon you become lonely. You forget why you were so scared. You just know you're uncomfortable. You even stop doing the things you love. You're falling into darkness. Suddenly, your housekeeper calls you down to the storage cellar. You're surprised to see it fully radiant because of all the emergency flashlights stored there. This becomes a turning point in your life. You begin creating beauty, light, and happiness within your house. You work together to keep the light shining brightly. Love begins to shine in both of your hearts. You even marry your housekeeper and promise to bring light and love into your home. It feels like heaven. One day, you come across a book in your library that talks about the natural light outside. You feel confused because you've been living for so long inside the dark house that you don't know how to go outside. That house represents all your thoughts, emotions, past experiences, and dreams. You've pulled and knit them all together into a conceptual world in which you live. This mental structure blocks you from the natural light outside. Don't be afraid to go past these walls. Don't hide in the darkness. You can get out by letting life take down your walls. When your walls crumble and consciousness is released, flourishing in its own brilliance, that is true enlightenment. Chapter 13. Going Beyond Yourself. Going beyond means moving past where you are now. You don't just stay in your current situation. There are no limits when you keep pushing yourself. The truth is, everything is limitless. Things only seem limited because your mind hits mental barriers. You need to push past these limits to grow. This involves changing something inside yourself. Right now, your logical mind creates a limited view of reality because you want to control things. You constantly struggle to make the world fit your idea of reality. When things don't fit, you label them as bad or wrong. If something challenges your perception, you get frustrated and fight. To move past this, you must not believe in those limits. Understand why you created a mental model in the first place, and see what happens when it doesn't work. You struggle to keep your world from falling apart, but your world doesn't need to collapse for you to see what you're doing. To understand why you do certain things, try not doing them. For example, if you want to know why you smoke, stop smoking and see what happens. When you step out of your comfort zone, you feel uncomfortable, and your mind tells you to fix things. Everything you do keeps you restricted. You can stay in your comfort zone, or you can work on finding freedom. Imagine being a tiger in a cage. It's terrifying. Your comfort zone creates a similar cage, not for your body but for your mind. Fear makes you stay in this cage because what's beyond is unknown. You want to feel safe, so you don't want to leave. You become attached to your cage. When you become spiritually aware, you realize you're locked in a cage, constantly hitting the walls of your comfort zone. You see that you can't express yourself freely because you're too self-conscious and have set limits on yourself. When you approach these limits, you feel anxious and insecure. But when you are willing to go beyond and face reality without mental boundaries, your soul becomes free and infinite. You go through your day with an inspired and peaceful heart. Spirituality is about the commitment to go beyond, no matter what. Chapter 14. Letting go of false solidity. The mind is a complex place with conflicting forces that keep changing due to external and internal events. In a short time, various fears, needs, and desires build up, and we struggle to keep it all together. We spend most of our time trying to control and keep everything in order. When you struggle, you suffer. Trying to hold everything together is already a form of suffering, especially when things start to fall apart. Your mind becomes troubled, and you fight to keep your inner world together. But the truth is, there's nothing solid to cling to. As you go deeper into yourself, you'll realize that your awareness is always there. It can expand broadly or focus narrowly. Your sense of self is determined by where you direct your awareness. When you focus on a particular thought or emotion, it stays steady because you are clinging to it. This creates a sense of orientation and security amid constant change. You build your entire self around this false sense of stability. But you will never truly find yourself in what you've built. By defining yourself this way, you become lost. Your stability creates a false sense of security. When you can't predict how others will behave, it disturbs you. Everyone clings and builds. We create personas that others want and need, which can make us popular and successful. Society has a lot of expectations. When people act as you expect, you treat them well, but when they don't, you withdraw or get angry. What people don't realize is that the clinging can stop. You don't have to hold on to your experiences to define yourself. Be brave enough to let go and face your fears. Let moments come and go. This is the only way to stop struggling and find peace. When you don't join the struggle, you can live spiritually. You don't have to live like everyone else. You can be free to experience life fully. You can be filled with light, guided by your inner force, and at peace. When you are at peace with your true self, there's no room for false solidity. Chapter 15. Living Life, the Path of Unconditional Happiness. Life itself is the best path to spirituality. Every experience can be freeing if you know how to live your everyday life. To do this, you only need to make one choice. Decide if you want to be happy or not. If you choose to be happy, your life path becomes clear. Most people don't think they have this choice because they believe happiness is out of their control, hindered by their many preferences. If you truly want to be happy, Declare it without any limitations. You must want happiness no matter what happens in life. Don't add any conditions like "I'll be happy if" or "I'll be happy when." Your choice must be unconditional. You have to genuinely mean it when you say you want to be happy. Unconditional happiness is the most powerful path. Not only will you be happy, but you will also become enlightened. When you decide to be happy, challenges will arise to test your commitment, promoting your spiritual growth. It's not easy to stay happy when things go wrong. The purpose of life is to enjoy and learn from your experiences. You weren't born to suffer. Misery helps no one. You came into this world and you will leave it. What you do in between is your choice. Events don't determine your happiness, you do. Let go of the part of you that creates drama. The sensible thing to do is to enjoy life's experiences. Pain and suffering don't bring any gains. So don't let things you can't control bother you. Choosing to enjoy life is a spiritual lesson itself. Once you commit to unconditional happiness, you'll learn more about yourself, others, and life. You'll learn about your heart and mind. Always stay open. Using affirmations can help. If you commit to being happy, nothing can stop you. The key is to understand your inner energies. When you're happy, your heart feels open and energy flows inside. Don't close your heart when you feel sad. You can choose not to give up your happiness. If you stay open, positive energy will fill your heart. Spiritual practices bear fruit when you learn to stay open. You'll discover many great things. You can reach a state of bliss and freedom. The joy you feel can become overwhelming, and it's a beautiful path to take. Chapter 16. The Spiritual Path of Non-Resistance. Your spiritual journey should lead you to a life without fears, problems, stress, or drama. Stress happens when you resist life's changes. When you live in the present, you don't create resistance. You just witness and experience life as it happens. First, understand why you resist life. If you look within, you'll find you have a certain power called willpower. Willpower is a force that drives your actions. You use it to hold on to thoughts and to try to make things happen or prevent them from happening. You have the power to influence things. Resisting things doesn't change the fact that they happen. What you're really resisting is the experience passing through you, which affects you inside. Over time, you'll see this resistance is a waste of energy. You use your willpower to resist past outcomes or future thoughts, causing more disturbance. The energy that needs to be released gets stuck in your psyche and affects you deeply. Struggling with past energies leaves you unprepared for present events. Over time, this blockage causes stress or burnout. Events in our lives leave marks on our hearts and minds, forming the basis for our will to cling or resist. This creates inner struggle and pain. You might think these past events have meaning, but they only ruin your life. Use life consciously. Watch your inner voice as it tells you to resist the world, but don't listen. Let your spiritual path be about allowing whatever happens to pass through you. Start by accepting every situation. Accept that events are not personal problems, but simply happenings in the world. Pause and think about what you can achieve if you don't let inner struggles restrain you. The world becomes a different place. You could do anything and transform your life if your heart and mind are open to embracing reality. You will feel more love, peace, and contentment. Chapter 17. The Secret of the Middle Way. The path to a spiritual life isn't complete without understanding one of the deepest spiritual teachings, the middle way. The Tao, which means the way, is so delicate that people often talk around its edges but rarely grasp its essence. The Tao is a treatise that lays down the fundamental principles of life. Unfortunately, many spiritual teachings obscure the truth with mystical words. However, with Tao, it's simple. People who have truly learned the secrets of life understand these truths without needing to read anything. If you want to understand how, take it slow and keep it simple. Otherwise, you might miss it even when it's right in front of you. Everything has two extremes, and the Tao is in the middle. It's the place where there is balance. There's no energy pushing it in either direction. everything remains in peaceful harmony. You must realize that everything has its yin and yang, its own balance point. The Tao is the order of all these balance points woven together. This overall balance maintains its equilibrium as it moves through time and space. Energies are pulled to the center so they aren't wasted going sideways. Staying centered gets things done in every aspect of life. If you are in balance, your body stays healthy. Being in extremes can teach you many things. When you analyze them, you see the results of imbalanced behavior patterns. The more extreme you are, the less forward movement there is. You end up getting stuck. Simply let the extremes go. You will see that all the energy that was wasted will be easily accessible to you. You'll become much clearer, and being present in each moment will become natural. Life's events will no longer seem confusing or overwhelming. Almost everyone has a point where they get out of balance. However, those who stay present with a fixed purpose always come out on top. When you move with the Tao, life becomes totally simple. Life unfolds while you feel for the center. All things move quietly through the center balance. The Tao is there, and everything is completely at peace. You can't touch it, but you can be one with it. Chapter 18. The Loving Eyes of God. We all have different teachings, concepts, and views about God, but how can anyone really know anything about Him? Fortunately, there's a direct connection to the divine deep within us. There's a part of our being that's beyond the personal self, and you can choose to identify with that part. This is where a natural transformation starts to happen inside you. You can know the nature of God by looking into the mirror of your changed self. This is a direct experience. Over time, you'll move away from feelings of tension and anxiety. The cloud of lower vibrations may still be there, but you stop thinking they're you or that you need to do anything about them. Your spirit drifts upward and you learn to let go of them. You know this because you experience it. Your being draws further back inside yourself. You start to feel more spaciousness inside. You don't feel fear, anger, or resentment toward other people. You don't close your heart. You feel like you are going somewhere and you're actually moving into your spiritual being. You identify more with the flow of pure energy. You begin to walk around feeling love for no reason. This spirit always feels good, open, and light. Because of this, you center more and more on the spiritual part of your being. As you willingly release the physical, mental, and emotional aspects of your being, this spirit becomes your state. Everything becomes more beautiful. How can you really know God or anything beyond you? You know, because people who have gone beyond have come back and told you that the spirit you're experiencing is the gateway to God. They have felt great love and light waking up inside them, and their sense of self merges with it. Just like in the Gospel of John, where it says one can merge into God. This is how you know Him. You become one with Him. Imagine what would happen if you began to feel great love toward every creature. There's no judgment. There's only loving, respecting, and appreciating. Knowing God must come from actual experience. It's what happens when you meditate or let go of your lower self. You drift into spirit and transformations happen inside you. You just need to notice them. You'll get a glimpse of what it must be like to sit in that divine state. There's no impurity. Everything is just beautiful. You embrace other people's whole being. That's how it is through the eyes of love. If God is love, His eyes are filled with endless love and compassion. And indeed, you have a loving God. Chapter 19. Life can be really simple. Life can be really simple. All you need to do is know your inner self. There's always more to everything than we think we already know. It's amazing to live knowing there's more to learn when you uncover one of life's greatest mysteries. No matter what you say or do or where you go, there is always you. You are always aware of the things passing through your physical senses. Sometimes you get too distracted by the opposing voices in your head. You don't have to listen to those voices, you just need to let them go. Your life depends on you, not on the things around you. The outside world is full of chaos, and if you let it affect you, You can easily fall into the trap of darkness. Keep your heart open and don't lock yourself inside when things don't go your way. The ability to live freely is within you. Positive energies are always available inside of you if you learn how to release the negative thoughts and emotions that drag you down. If you want to grow, don't let fear take over. It only leads to more pain and suffering. If you surrender to fear, you'll end up locking yourself in a cage. You deprive yourself of the great things the world can offer. Take steps toward the other side of fear. There you'll find freedom, joy, and love. Learn to accept that life will continue to unfold no matter what you do, and events won't always be what you expect. You can't control everything, but don't let it stop you from being happy. When bad things happen, simply experience and learn from them. You don't have to cling to them. Let them go and keep moving forward. Life isn't about trying to please everyone. Your happiness doesn't depend on anyone. The outside world can't solve the real problem inside you. Be conscious enough not to torture your mind with thoughts about how you should live to be accepted by others. You can stop listening to your thoughts and let all the melodrama slip through your mind. Be who you really are. While the pain can be uncomfortable, you can see it as a way to grow spiritually. Go beyond your comfort zone. Experience life. It's about choosing between being happy and being miserable. Surely you don't want to choose the latter. Nothing is worth being miserable over. Don't waste your precious time and energy doing things that stop you from freely expressing yourself. You don't need to hide in the dark. Follow your heart and experience life. It is God's greatest gift to you because God is love. Walk towards the path of light and happiness. Live with absolute freedom and love. You can always choose to live a meaningful and beautiful life. Thank you for listening.